Nice bolt gun. Well, thank you, American Patriot. It's a 22. This is a CZ457 Varmint MTR that I picked up in August. Had it in the range today. I wish I could say I shot well, but unfortunately I was fighting winds the whole morning, and it was driving me up a wall. My formerly nice groups turned into absolute crap, so I'm just going to blame the wind. How about that? Chances are it was a combination of the shooter and the wind. So to tell the story, a couple of weeks ago, always blame the wind. Yes. A couple of weeks ago, I picked up, I was shooting some Ely biathlon at the range. And I was getting okay groups, about a 1 MOA or something like that. Nothing great. And a friend of mine passed me along some SKS Standard Plus. And I immediately started shooting half MOA groups. Not going to argue. Unfortunately, you couldn't find that ammo anywhere in Canada. Until a week later, it just magically showed up. So I picked up a brick. Unfortunately, it's a different lot, so it's obviously not the exact same ammunition. I shot a little over 1 MOA today. But again, it was 40-kilometer-an-hour crosswinds, which I think is about 25 miles an hour, give or take. But it was weird wind because the flag at the 50-yard line was like perfectly still at times. But meanwhile, at my shooting station, it was like a wind gust. My hat was being blown off the table. So it was very frustrating. I was trying to figure out the wind. So, I mean, it wasn't just doing a standard wind call. It was honestly, I just could not figure out the wind because it was all over the place. Quite honestly, all over the place. Anyway, so I figured I'd give the lady a clean today, just make sure there's no carbon ring in the chamber. Unfortunately, my bore scope broke recently, and I ordered a new one, but it didn't arrive yet. Varmints are just target practice. The varmint, the environment barrel, apparently means it's more accurate than your average barrel. I don't know if it is or it isn't. And the MTR in the name stands for match target rifle. So it's basically a target rifle. But I will be using it for PRS next year, or ORPS or NRS or whatever the hell it is that we'll be shooting here in my local club. So I can't wait. It'll be fun. I've never shot Action 22. I don't know, whatever you want to call it, precision rifle series. So it'll be interesting. And I finally picked up some of this C4 carbon remover, which every precision shooter just goes gaga over for cleaning carbon out of your rifle. I don't know where you are in America, but I got a Tim Hortons here. Tim Hortons coffee. It's like Canada's Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah, I don't know what else you guys have for coffee chains, but not Starbucks. It's not like fancy. It's just a regular working man's coffee. So this proves my Canadian bona fides. I'm drinking coffee. Tim Hortons coffee, that is. It's weird. Last night I had an impromptu stream. It was just checking to make sure. Southern Indiana. I've heard of Tim Hortons and Ukrainian Tire. Ukrainian Tire. That's a good one. Yeah, I know that there are some Tim Hortons in the United States, mostly located in the Northeast United States, New York, Buffalo area, that kind of thing. Southern Indiana. I've been to Indiana, mostly the north. So where are you from in Indiana? Oh, guess I got to get up and do this. You know what? I'll put some on there first. Just going to soak the chamber a little bit. Hello. Do they seal this for my protection? I got to open it and take a thing off first. Yes, they did. Originally from California, but moved to Madison, Indiana on the Ohio River. Well, I've heard of the Ohio River, so I won't claim ignorance on that. Why'd you move from California? Other than it being California, of course. Personally, I've never even been to California, but everyone keeps telling me it's an absolute nightmare these days. All right, there you go. Now it's open. California is too expensive and crazy politics. I got it there at 2012. Well, like I said, based on what I've heard about California and its policies these days and the taxes and all that stuff. The weird thing is, I remember people always saying that the problem with California was the taxes were too low. And by that, I mean the property taxes. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know very many people from California, but damn, that's a waste of good cleaning solution. But yeah, I can imagine, especially the politics. It's madness, especially if you like live in like LA or something like that. I'll let that soak for a couple of minutes. Oh, however, you know what? I understand California politics because I live in Canada and our politics aren't that dissimilar. We've got, we have a liberal government in there right now, and they're full California. You know, with a lot of the same policies that California is enduring: energy policies, school, everything. Like, you were in California. Hopefully, our next election will solve that problem, but we'll see. Is this actually in the bore, or did I just stop before I got to the bore? Oh, there we are. Now we're in the chamber. Oh. What's Indiana like, though, when it comes to Second Amendment issues? California is the most beautiful state, yet people are fleeing like rats off a sinking ship. It doesn't add up. Well, you know what? If you're determined to screw things up, then people are going to definitely leave. That's for sure, right? I mean, in Canada, there's not exactly too many places to flee from one whacked out jurisdiction to another. We got Western Canada, which is kind of more conservative than the rest of Canada. Certainly more friendly to guns, traditional values, all that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, the federal government is the federal government. I mean, we have a different setup than you guys do, right? Your federal government is allegedly supposed to be constrained, and it's the states. Canada went through a period of centralizing power in the federal government back in the 60s and 70s, courtesy of Pierre Trudeau, the father of the current prime minister. So Indiana just passed constitutional carry. Hey, that's awesome. Carry my SIG P226. Oh, and that's the one that doesn't go off by itself, so that's good. Anywhere except schools and a few other places without a license. Well, that's good. I mean, at least you got that right. We, in theory, have what's called an ATC in Canada, an authorization to carry, where if your life is in danger or whatever, you can actually be granted a carry permit in Canada. However, the chances of getting that, you have better odds of winning the lottery 10 times than you do getting an authorization to carry. No one knows how many there are in Canada because they don't announce those numbers, but I'd be willing to bet it's like a straight handful of people. But anyway, good for you. I'm glad to hear Indiana has constitutional carry. That's good. That is certainly a great campaign in the United States. It's achieving a lot of its goals. I looked at a map recently of all the states that have constitutional carry, and man, it's growing by the year. So that's great. I'm glad to hear that. Glad to hear one jurisdiction's not going anti-gun nuts. While I'm waiting for that to soak, may as well at least wipe down the bolt. For that, I typically use Seal 1. It smells like orange, so it doesn't stink up this place too much. Not that I really care. I live alone, but can't live like an animal completely. Just recently, a young guy in Indiana stopped an active shooter with a 40-yard shot. Yes, I heard about that. That's fantastic. I'm glad to hear that. They memed the hell out of that guy for a while in all the gun groups about how great he was. That cops in Uvalde, Texas, couldn't even be bothered to move off their asses and do something. Meanwhile, this kid was putting down an active shooter at 40 yards with a fucking handgun. That's a great shot. I shoot a lot of handguns, so I mean, I know that a 40-yard shot at that distance, or that a 40-yard shot that is that can take out a person is a great shot. So good. I'm glad to hear that. In Canada, if you use a firearm to defend your life, you may as well find a really, really good lawyer, because there's a damn fine chance that you're going to be charged as a matter of course by the police. We don't really have any right to self-defense in Canada, unfortunately. But, it is what it is. Oh, what? Oh, it smells like orange. I love it. I heard Trudeau say that you don't have the right to defend yourself. Yeah. I remember that interview. I actually watched that interview. And it's true. He stated that there's no constitutional right to defend yourself, to use a gun to defend yourself, and all this other thing. There's a couple of sentences in there, but the gist of it was you don't have the right to defend yourself. And I've long argued that in Canada, the police look at it almost as an insult if you're not a dead body when they arrive, because then, I don't know, they got less work to do. The tape guy doesn't have a job if there's no body, it's outrageous. I mean, we theoretically have the right to self-defense, but it's so convoluted. It's almost like you have to use what they call a reciprocal amount of force. So, I mean, if some guy breaks into your house with a knife, you can't just go at him with a fucking AR-15. Well, not that we're allowed them anymore anyway, but so you have to run. We have that run first doctrine. You have to get away from the situation if you can and call the police. It's only in you have seconds to live and the police are minutes away situation where you can actually use force to defend your life, but it also has to be reciprocal to the threat. So it doesn't matter. You know what? If somebody were to break into your house in Canada and just start opening fire, and you just happen to be reassembling your firearm after cleaning it, and you grab a round and you put it through them, boom, you're getting charged with murder. There's nothing you can do about it in Canada. It's outrageous, but what are you going to do? Well, we got two people watching. Oh my God. I had more people watching last night when I was just doing a test stream, and we ended up going a whole hour. It was actually a pretty entertaining discussion. We talked about abortion, survivals, prepping, a whole bunch of stuff. Clovertack. Yeah, I'm just lurking, man. Whoa, hey, Clovertack. I still watch your channel, man. I love it. I remember you featured my this channel on YouTube. It was last year, I think it was May or June, something like that. Yeah, I still watch all your videos, man. Love what you guys do over there. I guess it's that view. Yeah. No, that's all good. You know what? The whole point to doing YouTube stuff is, I don't know. I don't ever believe I'm going to get internet famous or rich or anything like that. I don't do it for that stuff. I just do it for fun, making videos and all that stuff. But I will say that, man, you gave me so many great ideas with your critique, and I put in a lot of them. More people watch later than I do live. Just keep in mind. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah, like I was saying, a lot of the tips and tricks that you gave me on that stream, you and your pal there, really, really kind of influenced some of the things that I've done with the channel since. I don't know if it's any better than it was before, and that's not a critique on your advice, more my execution. But I will say, I really appreciate a lot of the things that you said. Here's a secret. Makeup tip removers, or whatever you call these makeup removers, flat end pointy end. I love these things because you can clean nooks and crannies, and you can also clean bigger areas with one end to the other. People always look at me weird when I buy makeup remover swabs at the grocery store, but I'm like, hey, it's for my guns. Yeah. Like I said, that is fresh. It smells just like orange. How could you disagree with that? You're at 2K. That puts you in the top 15% or so of YouTube. Just keeping that in mind. Yeah. And you know what? At the time, I think that when you did the channel review, it was I was sitting at about 1,000, I think, maybe a little over 1,000. I typically pick up a subscriber or two a day, nothing big. I'll have to try those makeup removers. Yeah, they're cheap. You pick them up for like 200 for a couple of bucks, and they're great. And these ones are firm, so that you can really get in there, and it doesn't leave too much of the fabric behind. Until they're like really soaked and dirty, then they start. So I change them out often. What cleaners are you using? Okay, well, for a general clean, I'm using Seal 1, CLP Plus. I know this is a CLP, but I actually just use it only for cleaning. I find it does a really good job. I'm using Vortec. I'm trying to do this around my thing here. Vortec C4 carbon remover, just for the carbon. And just some gun oil. That's about it. And then what else? Yeah, that's really about it. I don't use too much on my 22 because I don't like being too fastidious cleaning it. I know that periodically you really should clean the bore for lead buildup and wax and all that other stuff. But I just basically, after I clean my chamber, I try and remove as much carbon as possible so I don't start to build up that carbon ring in there. Then I'll just kind of like do a quick pass through of the bore itself. So I don't go nuts. And it's mostly this stuff. Well, I wasn't using this before. I was using just straight old Hoppies number 9. But a lot, as I was telling American Patriot, a lot of people really like this for removing carbon from 22 rimfire in general. Yeah. Well, all right. That's about as clean as it's going to be. Let's find out what this stuff did for my chamber. Out. Well, it's darker. I was expecting more carbon to come out of there. Boy, I really wish my bore scope had arrived in time for this, because it would have been rather useful just to see if there was. Oh no, I hit the mic or camera. Sorry. Never done this before. Last live stream I did was a catastrophe. So yeah, I know it's a bad thing. What I just did was to pull it straight back. But in my defense, I'm Canadian. I use this stuff from Modern Spartan Systems for carbon and lead. Never use that stuff, but lots of cleaners out there. Yeah, you know what? People get religious on their cleaners. Oh, you got to use this. You got to use that. If you're, whatever. I've used, I think, virtually every cleaner that's been on the market. And in fact, like literally 5 feet over there, I have the blue bin that you see. Where I'm trying to do this on camera, right there in that blue bin, I have something like 10 different cleaners there. And you know what? I find they all basically work exactly the same. There's no difference. So I don't know. I don't know why people get religious on it. As long as it does the job. Gets rid of the carbon. And you know what? I'll use a specialized cleaner for lead, because I do shoot some lead bullets out of my rifles. Mostly the older stuff, like my Martini Henry and my Gewehr 7184. I use lead cast bullets in those, and I do have to periodically clean those. Still use mercury. Oh man, I hope you're wearing a hazmat suit when you do that, man. That is crazy. Where do you get lead or mercury anyway? Like, I thought they banned that stuff for sale or something like that. You can't even get a thermometer. Okay, what the hell was I doing again? Oh yeah, right. I was cleaning a rifle. Yeah, all right. Put my bore guide back in. when you pay as much as I did for this rifle, you take every damn precaution there is, including using a bore guide, which I always mocked people for doing before, but then I was like, well, the last thing I want to do is scratch the chamber on this thing because it would murder my heart if I were to do anything to damage this thing. And I'm sorry, by the way, that the stream is actually on my monitor as well. Funny story, I was at the county dump. Guy asked me if I knew a place to dump mercury because someone left there after an hour. I literally 5 gallons? Holy shit. Where do you get 5 gallons of mercury in, well, whenever this was? That's madness. So what does mercury do anyway? Because honestly, this is the first time I've ever heard anyone say that they used mercury to clean a rifle or a firearm anyway. That just sounds crazy because I've never heard it before. But then again, I have not heard all the things under the sun. So, hey. Are you telling me that my Jag is too big for this? Oh, there we are. I didn't get 5 gallons. There was 5 gallons there. Coffee can. I would have grabbed it all. I'm just that guy. I got enough mercury to last me a lifetime. Probably a short lifetime. Oh, see, that's not really all that dirty. I was actually kind of a little disappointed. I don't know how well you can see that. There you go. Maybe I'll run a brush through there first. I will fill it with mercury, let it sit a couple of days, drain it, clean it normally. Oh, really? Huh. Well, I'll be honest with you. I never heard that before. Sounds dangerous, though, still. I mean, mercury being what it is. Let's just run a bore brush through this. Holy crap, this thing is tighter than a... Don't finish that sentence. Oh, man. I hate new bore brushes. Yeah, that is old school Glen cleaning. Very old school, I'll say. You know what? Oh, shit. Oh, my God, my bore brush is caught in my bore guide. Wow, really? I can't take it out. Well, this is embarrassing. All right. Jesus Christ. It's stuck in there. It's like a Chinese finger trap. All right. All right. You know what? I think I'm going to dispense with the bore guide for this. $3D printed. Probably worth exactly what I paid for it, or rather less. A love tap. Yeah. I mortared it, just like an AR. All right, let's try this again. Hopefully this isn't going to get caught in my barrel. All right, let's try this again. All right. Get in there. Oh, that is tight. There we go. Like I said, brand new bore brush. So you got to work out that brass a little bit. Oh, we're down to 1 viewer. Oh, it's just me and you. Where are you anyway there, Clovertack? Where in Biden land are you located? I'm sure you've mentioned it many times, but for some reason I'm drawing a blank. Texas. You know, the only thing I got in Texas is Texans and illegals. You thought I was going to say something else. Never been to Texas. I've always wanted to go. Not Austin, because I hear it's like a liberal hole. But I wouldn't mind going to like some of the other places in Texas. I always wanted to go to the Alamo because it was when I was a kid. That was like one of my favorite movies, the John Wayne version. Always wanted to go to the Alamo. Well, didn't really bring all that much out of it. Middle of the woods in East Texas, and yes, on the Alamo, that is my favorite place ever to go. Did you ever go to the basement in the Alamo? That's a joke, by the way. Have you ever watched Pee Wee's Big Adventure there? He asked to go to the basement of the Alamo, and they mocked him because there is no basement in the Alamo. Maybe this barrel is cleaner than I thought it was. Maybe I cleaned this relatively recently, and I didn't really actually even need to clean this because these patches are coming out pretty white. I'm actually rather disappointed. You're going to spend the time cleaning something, at least make it worth your while. Yeah. Well, I mean, I would have been destroyed in the military if I had ever showed a patch like that to my NCOs, but goodness, this isn't actually even all that bad. Kind of disappointed. Ain't much there to see. Honestly, looks way bigger than it is, but something about sitting in the courtyard on the benches and just thinking about. Yeah, well, absolutely. Look, I know the John Wayne version of the Alamo was more fiction than fact in some situations, with how some of the people died and some of the things that happened and all that stuff. But just watching it as a kid, it was just fantastic. And I've heard that there isn't really all that much there, right? I mean, it's a smashed up mission, after Santa Ana got through with it. But get in there. There we go. But, just knowing some of the people who were there, what was done, it's very inspirational. Man, very disappointed by these patches. I was hoping for something dirtier. There you go. I should do live streams on Friday. I had more viewers on Friday. Not that I don't mind having you, Clover. I'm more than happy to have you here. Since we really haven't talked since last May, I guess. Except I was the one typing last time and you were the one chatting. Maybe I'll run a mop through there. Just see if I can sweep up. Without the Alamo, Texas would have lost. They gave the rest of the time. Yep, no, absolutely, man. Absolutely. One day I would really love to see an Alamo movie, which is as truthful to history as possible. I know that they made one, 10 years ago or something like that. A lot of people got pissed off because the Mexicans who were in the Alamo at the time, they people got pissed off. They're saying, "Oh, you're just giving the Mexicans more airtime, politically correct and that stuff." But I mean, they were there; they fought too, right? From what I hear. Anyway, I'd love to see an honest, almost like a mini series about the Alamo, the build up, the actual battle, and then the fallout afterwards. What happened with the other forces that got together to fight Santa Ana and his soldiers and that stuff. I don't know. Maybe one day we'll see that. Although, however, in these days, they would make that movie far different than I suspect it should be. Jim Bowie would be like a cast in a diverse manner or something like that, just to make sure everyone was represented, right? Oh, wow. Like I said, I'm very disappointed by this cleaning. I was hoping it was going to be a hell of a lot dirtier. I don't like the way this is set up. I got to figure out a way to get the camera a little more, I don't know, ground level or something like that, so you can see more, because all you're seeing right now is this Smudge. Crazy. Not sure if it's taught in school here anymore, but it used to be a whole year in junior high back in the day. Oh, it should be, though, right? I mean, I don't understand why people don't teach their own history. You know, even Canada, well, at least when I was in school, taught quite a bit of Canadian history, mostly because we're insecure about having the United States next door to us. So we want to make sure everyone knows the history of Canada, or at least did. But unsurprisingly, it was also a little PC. Well, no, actually, you know what? I take that back. It wasn't actually PC. We had fairly good history classes back then. Oh, yeah. Oh, there you go. That's pretty white now. Good. Yeah, anyway, they actually did a decent job when I was in grade school in the 1980s. It wasn't too PC or anything like that, so that's good. I don't know what it's like these days. I'm fairly certain that it's full of diversity and inclusion. I'm using a Vortex Venom 5 to 25 by 56, and I'm going to be honest with you. I don't hate the optic, to be honest with you, but I wish I had stumped the extra dollars and went with the Strike Eagle 5 to 25 by 56. I think the glass is it would be a little clearer, like brighter, and it's got an illuminated reticle, which I've always poo-pooed in that stuff. But man, on a day like today, well, not just today, but I really think it would have been useful to have an illuminated reticle. Mr. Fancy Pants. This is the most expensive scope I've ever bought. And I was running an Athlon Neos. I'm sure you're familiar with the Athlon scopes. An Athlon Neos 4 to 12 on this. And I wasn't really satisfied with it because at 50 yards, 12x for precision 22 shooting, not so great. So I kind of had it in my head to start buying a more expensive scope because I dumped a shit ton of money into this rifle. So I figured, you know what, if I'm going to splurge, splurge again on a higher end scope. Anyway, I like the scope. It's just fine. It's the third Vortex scope I bought. I also have an LPVO from them on my AR-180, which I run, which I really like that scope too. It has an illuminated reticle, but I never use it. The one rifle I don't have an illuminated reticle on is the one I wish I had it. But I like the scope though. It's just I kind of wish I'd spent an extra couple $100 and went with the Strike Eagle because I think it would have been probably a better choice. But that said, I'm not going to complain too much. I'm actually going to do a video, a walkthrough on this rifle because why is someone's calling me? I'll call you back later, okay? Sorry about that. A walkthrough of this, and then just go over the parts that I put together here, and why I chose some of the things that I did. Yeah, but it's a good scope. I can't complain too much about it. What the hell was I doing? Oh yeah, right. I don't know why I took this Jag off because I was about to run a patch with a little bit of oil down the bore just for the hell of it. But yeah, funny thing that you mentioned when you say more people watch later. I think the first live stream I ever did was August 2021 or April 2021. Might have been around the same time that you did the channel review. And I think I had at most like 7 or 8 concurrent viewers, but that video has 108 views. So people did watch it afterwards, despite the fact that I put in the description, don't watch this, it sucks. Mostly because I was having problems with the software I was using at the time, and I had audio delays and all that stuff. It was horrible. Absolutely horrible. All right. Wow, even the oil patch is coming out clean. Clean. I love it. I wish I could see the inside of the chamber, though. I'd like to know if there's a carbon ring. Yeah, it's been a while since I did those. In fact, I moved all that to the GunTuber Academy channel about a year ago. Yeah, that's too bad. I really enjoyed. I kind of did a deep dive, and I started watching a lot of those videos that you had done, and just went back and saw all the other channels that you had touched upon. You're were you somebody else also did one a channel review of mine as well, and a board camera. I've got one coming. Um, I ordered one from wherever the hell it was. I don't even remember now. A couple of days ago because I was looking for mine and it broke at some point, and I guess I tossed it. I remember now. So I was hoping to have it in before the end of the week. Unfortunately, it didn't arrive, so I'm kind of stuck without one right now. And I think the one I had before wouldn't have fit anyway because I think it was it was bigger than 5.5 millimeters, so it wouldn't have fit into this chamber. Fit on all my 30 cals and all that other stuff. But yeah, board cameras are fantastic. The Endosnake brand. You know what? I might have ordered an Endosnake. I honestly don't know because um, I don't remember anything about the order, and I only placed it like 3 or 4 days ago. Sorry, drinking a cup of coffee here. What the hell was I doing? What was I about to do? Oh yeah, right. Okay, so I'm done with the chamber and the bore. Just put that cleaning rod over there. The thing I hate about this rifle is is it's a 22. The damn, and I got the scope here too, and it's like kind of a closed off receiver. Well, that wasn't very secure. Got to watch the size. The reason why I like the Endosnake is it's smallest. Yeah. I think the one I ordered is 5.5 millimeters, so it will fit a 22, just barely. So hopefully that'll arrive soon. I wanted to get one 1.7 just to build in like a little bit of safety margin in there so that, you know, because I don't know how well they work at this size. I've never used one on anything other than 30 cal rifles. We'll just put that over there. Let's just move that over here. I know you're on a bit of a delay there, 20-second delay. I don't know why they do that. So I say something and then it takes you forever to show up in the chat. Is that barrel partially fluted or just the light? It would be just the light. Oh yeah, I see what you see here. Yeah. No, it's no fluting. I know CZ makes barrels that are fluted, but this one is not. It's just free floated heavy barrel profile. Whatever the hell that means. Heavy barrel profile. How am I going to clean this crap out? Again, the perils of a small receiver. Maybe I can just... Oh, you know what? I'm overthinking this. Oh, that is a CZ. Yeah, CZ 457 Varmint MTR. I picked it up at the end of August. It came as a barreled action. So it was just the trigger group, receiver, and the barrel. And the company that put it together picked up 2 of them. And they said for this build, it was going to be an all-out build. So they went with, they were a bit of brand whores, mostly because they sell these products, but they went with an MDT receiver. MDT buttstock with a MDT folding folder, whatever, which I don't know. Well, you know what? Actually, I mocked it until I started cleaning because the cleaning rod actually goes in easier because my cheek rest. I've always wanted a CZ Jaguar. CZ Jaguar. Is that like a car? Or is that a rifle? I'm not familiar with the CZ stuff outside of military stuff. I'm mostly into the military stuff from CZ. Just gonna see if I got a bigger patch here. Oh, a 22? It's a 22? Okay. Oh, I'm a little embarrassed. I can't say I've ever heard of that rifle before. All right. At any rate, yeah, so they went nuts. They put a BCM pistol grip on it, and I got rid of it because I didn't like shooting precision with a pistol grip, so I went with a vertical grip. This is my own that I bought. Shitty Harris style bipod. I'm still trying to figure out what kind of bipod I want, and then I put the Venom scope on it. Still trying to figure out the bipod. The thing is, I don't mind spending the money. Like, I don't want to spend like enormous amounts of money just so that I could say I spent even more money on this thing than I have already. But it would be weird to like not spend a lot of money on a rifle, or sorry, a bipod after spending so much on the rifle. But I gotta say, for this Amazon knockoff, I didn't buy it at Amazon though, but this knockoff Harris style works fine. You know, if I shoot like shit that day, I'm sure as hell not going to be blaming the bipod because I don't know, it does the job fine. This is a lot cleaner than I thought this rifle was going to be. What the hell's going on here? I'm a little disappointed. I had another CZ rifle before. It was a CZ VZ58. Unfortunately, though, well, no, I sold it actually in October 2020 because I got the sneaking suspicion that the government was going to ban them. And sure enough, 6 months later, 6 or 7 months later, anyway, they banned the damn things. And I loved that rifle more than anything else. You could have, if I was going into a shit hits the fan scenario, I would have bought that rifle over an AR or an AK or anything else. That's the Canadian in me speaking, because the logical choice is to do an AR, but I really love that rifle. Absolutely. Of course, now I'm not allowed to own an AR, VZ, M14, a whole pile of rifles they banned that year, which was very distressing. But that's what happens when you live in Canada, or as I call it, Soviet Kanakistan. They have some really advanced bipods. Yeah, I know. I keep watching all the reviews online of bipods, and I'm like stunned as to the stuff that they're coming out. I've lately kind of like started gravitating towards maybe an AccuTac bipod. I've been watching a lot of reviews of their bipods. I gotta say, I'm reasonably impressed by a lot of them. The Harris ones, I don't mind them. Like I said, this one's basically a Harris bipod. It works fine enough. The Magpul one seems okay. The MDT ones are either they got the one that's like $250, but then the rest of them are all like $1,000, $1,500, which sorry, I'm not that rich. No, I'm not rich at all, actually. The Atlas ones are fine, but the AccuTac, I think that's what the brand is called. The AccuTac really kind of impresses me. Maybe one day. Maybe for my birthday, I'll treat myself next year. All right, so I cleaned the chamber, I cleaned the receiver, I cleaned the bore briefly, lube that one, give it a wipe down. Yeah, I'm pretty much almost done. AccuTac is good stuff. Yeah, I was watching a review. Shoot, I don't even remember the channel, but it was a guy and his wife. Paramount Tactical, that's what it was. Paramount Tactical. Best one I have is a Swagger Steel Banger. I never even heard of that one. I don't think that's a brand that they carry in Canada because I can't say I've ever seen that one anywhere. But if it works, who cares? And like I said, this one is fine. It's solid. It allows me to load up a little bit into it with a little bit of the flex. Really, I don't know what more I would need than that. I mean, that's fine enough already. Yeah, I was just noticing. I've always been afraid to use the M-Lock ones on the bottom because I thought they might contact the barrel, but shoot. So I might go with an Arca rail attached to the M-Lock on the bottom and then just get a bipod with an Arca rail attachment. Small company out of Arkansas. Okay, well, that would explain why I haven't seen them. In Canada, we don't have a lot of distributors for firearm parts. So if some of the major ones don't carry something, then you're not going to get it into Canada. And then a lot of the companies in the United States are kind of reticent to send to Canada just because of the ITAR regulations. It involves paperwork and all that stuff with the State Department, and they really don't want to put up with that stuff. They used to order stuff from Numeric, and they always made it as difficult as possible just because they had to do the State Department paperwork. So that kind of sucks. So yeah, if one of our distributors doesn't carry stuff from that company, Swagger, then I'm not going to see it, unfortunately. Kind of sucks. I sometimes forget. Yeah, well, I sometimes forget I live in Canada because when it comes to firearms, I'm a lot like you Americans. I love guns. I love talking about guns and that stuff. And I constantly get accused of being an American. Like, what are you, an American? You like guns? You want to kill people? Shut up. Yeah, we have a perception of Americans in Canada that you're all gun nuts, despite the fact that I think it's only half of Americans own guns. So. But anyway, I'm very American in my outlook. I love going to the United States and visiting as much as possible. I love your guns. I was in Florida in June, and I finally shot a M240 Bravo. It was never a service GPMG in Canada, but I always wanted to shoot it. And I finally got a chance in Cape Coral, Florida. I went to a gun range there and shot it. It was awesome. Guilty? Good, man. Awesome. I love Americans. I'm not one of these Canadians that hates Americans, and I don't understand Canadians who do. M240s are fun. Yeah, it was expensive as hell to shoot, though, because I think I got a 50-round belt. Me and my brother-in-law both got 50-round belts, and it was it fucking cost a lot of money. Like 308's not that expensive, man. Like we're already paying for the rent on the gun. I don't know why you're charging so much for ammunition, but that's all gun ranges, right? But it was fun. I really enjoyed shooting that, and I did pretty good actually. Most of my 50 rounds were on target. I was shooting at a cartoon picture of Kim Jong-il. It was a Rocket Man target. He had a bunch of nukes there in his hands, so I was shooting him. I got most of them on target. Why I like working range days is media at those shows, free ammo. Yeah. We don't have those in Canada very often. Our firearms industry is relatively small. They come up with great products, but they're relatively small. So and the range days and all that stuff where they're showing stuff off, never close to me, and they're rare anyway. Mostly they just send the guns to people to review. But I'm not like a channel that rates that sort of thing yet, so I don't ever get guns sent to me. But free ammo is great. There you go. That's one reason to start a YouTube channel. You never get famous, but you get to shoot for free, right? I would love to go to SHOT Show or anything like that one day. Maybe I will in the next year or two. Go as media for the YouTube channel. That would be wicked, because I would love to go to SHOT Show or whatever else is big there. We should get you to that point. You should be getting some stuff to play with at this point, and you should be going to SHOT Show. It's mostly just time off the work, kind of thing. The travel itself doesn't really bother me. But it's just time off work. So, but I would love to be going to SHOT Show. Well, we can get you to that point. Well, that would be awesome. Then maybe you'll see me there next year. Redneck Preppy. I'll have to come up with like a Redneck Preppy t-shirt or something like that. I was thinking about getting a camouflage polo shirt, playing into the preppy side of it, but then having the Redneck Preppy logo on it, so it has the pink and all that stuff. So that's kind of cool. When I get the time off, I'm relatively lucky. I don't actually have to ask far in advance for vacation. And my boss is really cool, and he knows I love guns too, so he doesn't give a shit. So I mean, I could go I don't know why I don't. You know, maybe I'll apply for media next year. And, you know, we even had a gun show in Canada in the beginning of September. It's called TACCOM, Tactical, whatever the hell it is, in Toronto, which is about 4 or 5 hours away from me. And I didn't think of doing the media thing there. I don't know why. Other people did. I didn't for some reason. But perhaps next year. Okay. Anyway, best part of any operation, using some lube. What is this? Outers gun oil. Fuck, I don't even know when I bought this. If you want to shoot for going for 2024, hit me up in September, October. I can help you walk through the prep when the registration starts. Yeah, cool. I will. Absolutely. I guess what 2023's. Oh yeah, that's true. Its SHOT Show is in the first half of the year, so it's probably already all set up and ready to go with media and all that stuff. Okay, let's get this girl back in here. Oh, this is like the worst thing ever. I bought this so I could use it at the range as like kind of a steadying thing, so I could sight in rifles, and it was worthless for that, and it's also worthless. Oh, worthless for this too. There. Oh, I forgot to mention Timney trigger. I got one of those too. So yeah, I did go Mr. Fancy Pants on this thing. I actually installed that trigger 2 weeks ago, I think, because I hated the CZ stock trigger, which is like 3.5 pounds, I think, and you can get it down to allegedly 2.5, but I never could. Registration for 2023 is open now. Window closing soon happens in January. That's what it is. Timothy. Yeah, it was again one of those, like, I got an expensive rifle. I may as well put an expensive trigger in it. And you know what? I'm actually embarrassed to say this. This absolutely should destroy any reputation I ever had. Was there's a spring kit that you can buy. It's called the Yo Dave spring kit, and it lowers your trigger pull to as little as 10 ounces, I think. 10 ounces to a pound. And it's just a spring. It's basically just a spring. And you take the trigger mechanism apart and you replace the stock trigger with this spring. $15. But then people are, and I got these sausage fingers. I got some arthritis now. And I was like, do I want to spend $15 and potentially fuck up my trigger? Or do I want to spend Canadian $300 because I'm too stupid to swap out a single spring? So I ended up buying the Timney for $300 rather than a spring for $15. I'm actually quite embarrassed by that. Having said that, though, this is adjustable. That spring isn't. It's like, this is your trigger pull. That's it. You've got whatever it turns out to be, 10 ounces to a pound or a pound and a half. At least with the Timney, I can change it from 10 ounces up to, I think it's 2.5 on this. Although I don't know why I would put it back up to 2.5. I hated shooting 2.5. Precision blows with that kind of trigger pull. Well, this is more or less done. What happened to that thing? Where's that thing? Oh, here we are. Silicone cloth. Make everything look pretty. There we are. I love this rifle. It shoots better than I ever will shoot it, but I shoot much better with it than I ever did with any other 22 I ever owned. And I started with a Lakefield Mark II rifle, which I paid $100 for years ago. And it was a single shot 22. And I remember shooting like 1.5 to 2-ish inch groups at 25 yards with it, which tells you how much of a piece of shit it was. And I was so happy with it. And then I saw some guy shooting, like, I don't know, it was a custom Ruger, heavy barrel and all this shit. And he was shooting like 1/2 inch groups at 50 yards. And I was like, okay, time for another rifle. And I ended up buying a Ruger 1022, but it was just a takedown, which was probably the biggest mistake I ever made. You better love it with all the money you've talked about having in it. I'm not even going to tell you how much money ultimately I have in this thing, because it's, well, you have to remember this is Canadian dollars. So cut everything by, or convert it to about 70% of that. And that's basically how much I've got into this thing. But I like it. You know what? Given my age now at 51, I don't go to bars anymore. I don't party and all that stuff. So I figured, what the hell? You know what? Treat yourself. Either I dump all my money into my Jeep, which destroys me periodically with repairs, or I spend it buying a rifle. So I bought a rifle, which means I'll probably have to do a repair on the Jeep fairly soon. Smells lemony fresh. Yeah, there you go. Well, I aimed for about an hour-long stream. I've achieved it. Yeah. Yeah, I do love this rifle, though. It's fantastic. I wish I could shoot much better with it. People tell me I have unrealistic expectations about my shooting. When I was at the range a couple weeks ago, I was shooting 1-inch targets at 50 yards. And they're reasonable groups, about 0.6 inches. Nothing great. So about 1.2 MOA. But I wasn't using particularly good ammunition that day. And a guy who was a competitor in PRS, precision shooting, was like, what are you talking about? He goes, your groups are fine. I go, yeah, I know, but I watch those guys on YouTube who are shooting like 0.2 inch groups at 50 yards. And I'm like, that's what I want to be shooting. Yeah, almost 1 hour on the money. Well, I didn't set out an actual, like, oh, this is how long it's going to be kind of thing. It was more, takes as long as it takes. I don't mind. And you were good company, Clover Tack. I don't know what happened to American Patriot. He kind of disappeared. He was from California, or he was from California. He moved to Indiana. He was very happy that they have concealed carry there now, which great, awesome. I'm glad that for all the bluster of the Biden administration, that gun rights in the United States have only increased in the past, years. I was a little worried about Trump because, that boy showed up at the NRA convention, but he sure as fuck didn't do very much for gun rights in the United States. With his little bump stock thing and all that other bullshit. He wasn't great on the Second Amendment. I don't care what anyone says. I don't shoot much 22 at 50 yards. Is 50 yards at 25 precision. I'm checking one same hole. Oh, good. Or 110 meter silhouette. That's a 12 wide by 8 tall. Yeah, well, yeah, that's good too, though. I mean, like you're shooting at that distance. That's fantastic. What was I going to say? Anyway, yeah. Oh, I almost started talking about politics. I almost started talking about Trump, which is my one regret when I was in Florida in June. I couldn't find a MAGA hat. I'm like, I'm in Florida. I'm in Ron DeSantis's backyard. I should be able to find a freaking MAGA hat somewhere. What's going on? I was going to wear that in Canada and get beat up by people. However, returning to Trump and the Second Amendment and the gains that you guys have been making lately, whatever else I can say about Trump can suck it. Due process later. No thanks. Oh, for some reason it hid that comment here. Let me show it. I guess suck it is a bad word. Where's my mouse? Oh, here we are. Okay, there you go. I've uncensored you. Well, okay, Trump can suck it, due process and all that stuff. Okay, I'm not going to disagree with you on that one. But here's the one thing that you guys can thank Donald Trump about, and that is his judicial nominees, the people that he put on the bench. Now, regardless of what first of all, the man sealed the United States Supreme Court as a conservative institution going forward now for many years. Okay. And if he or whoever in 2024, if they put a Republican back in the House, there might be another opening. Bam, jam in another one. That's fucking great. That just seals the deal. But all of the lower court judges, district courts, appellates, all that stuff, that's where a lot of these gun cases are being decided. And a lot of these people are Trump judges. So you guys can thank Trump at least for all of the fine work he did with judges. I think he could have done better, mind you, But you take what you can get, right? He crushed it on SCOTUS. We do not have Brown. It wasn't for Trump. He wasn't all bad, but he wasn't good either. No, that's true. Hey, look, I've said this 1,000 times about Donald Trump. I thought the man was a buffoon. Okay. And I don't mind the fact that he wasn't presidential. Look what Barack Obama was, I suppose, according to many people, presidential. And look what you got 8 years there. But a buffoon in the sense that, I don't know. I don't even know if I can properly explain why I thought he was a buffoon, but it was just like, more of a cartoon character than anything else. But the man did so many good things that I'll gladly take that buffoonery any day of the week over, anything else. He wasn't a country club Republican, despite the fact that he's probably the richest president that ever served. So you can say that. I don't know. I'm talking out my ass. I'm not an American, although I follow your politics very closely and have since I was a little kid. I remember at age 9 watching Ronald Reagan getting elected and being happy for reasons I don't know. All I know is he wasn't Jimmy Carter, and everyone hated Jimmy Carter. Much in the way of anti-2A stuff. Yes, yeah, that's true. Yeah, he talked a lot of shit about guns and banning guns and all that stuff, but Obama really didn't do anything. So that first gigantic buyback or buy-up of guns and components and ammunition was for nothing because he didn't accomplish anything. So that's good. American politics is a worldwide blood sport. Yeah. Canadian politics isn't quite... I wonder if I should figure out how to move this camera. Let me see if I can get this camera pointed at me now. Since I'm done with the gun cleaning. Sorry. Oh, no. Yes, he's got popcorn thing on his ceiling. What a savage. What is this, 1970s? There we go. That's close enough. So what was I saying? Oh, yeah. Canadian politics isn't, what it used to be. It used to be a little more gentlemanly, but it's not anymore. It's actually turning quite American in some ways. And I do say that in a negative fashion about your politics because fuck me, man. Sometimes it just goes crazy down there, and that is a big freaking light. Yeah, it is. It's actually a studio light. I use it to film on my videos when I'm doing for the channel. Oh man, and there's no way to. It's either this bright or it's off. There's no in between. Let me see if I can move it away. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, what are those called? Oh, those are all my fishing rods. Oh, some of my fishing rods anyway. Just using real rod covers or whatever you want to call them, rod protectors. I am quite an angler. I actually used to be a tournament angler here in northern Canada, bass. Predominant bass up here is smallmouth bass, although we do have largemouth bass as well. But yeah, I was a bass fisherman. And now I just do it just because I love fishing. That's probably the thing I love doing the most is actually fishing, then shooting, then off-roading, and then whatever else I can think of. But yeah, fishing. Love fishing. I got way too much fishing gear. My late father used to bug me so much about, how many fishing rods and lures and all that stuff could you possibly need? I go, you never know what's going to catch fish that day. Got to have every lure made. Let's see if I can angle this light a bit away. It's quite hot too, this light. I'm not sure that's any better. Yeah, whatever. What was I going to say? Anyway, getting back to Canadian politics. It's turning a lot more American than it used to be, which, like I said, as much as I love you guys, sometimes your politics gets a little crazy, a little goofy. I've not been fishing in a long while. Well, what the hell are you doing? All you need is a rod, some shore to fish on, a worm. You're done. Get up fishing. Get fishing. Get out there. What's wrong with you? Crazy. I love fishing. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to do much of it this summer. I went a grand total of probably 8 or 9 times fishing. And I include all the times I went fishing in Florida when I was there in June, which all I managed to catch was catfish. Fucking hell, that drove me up a wall. My father was sick, in and out of the hospital all this year, and then he passed away in August. So unfortunately, I was kind of preoccupied with family matters this year. So I really only went fishing, like I said, about 8 times, and I would usually go fishing like 2 or 3 times every given week in a normal year. Too much. Yeah, you know what? Canadian politics remembers the politics of my state. Seems like a lot of policy decisions. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, first of all, welcome Hobo Factory. Canadian politics does sometimes seem intent on differentiating itself from American politics. That we got to prove how much better we are than them Americans, them gun nuts, and so you get this bullshit progressivism, which, I mean, we've been progressive a lot longer than the United States has, and it oftentimes the decisions we make seem to be designed to, like you said, contrast ourselves with Americans, and it's stupid. Fuck, I hate that kind of thing, but it is what it is. It's the country I live in, where even the conservatives aren't all that conservative. I've had one prime minister in my life that I actually really loved, and it was Stephen Harper. And other than that, it's just been a shit show of liberals or country club conservatives. They're a conservative party here in Canada. That's what it's called, the Conservative Party. So instead of country club Republicans, they're country club conservatives. Very disappointing, but like I said, it is what it is. But as you were saying there, Clover, yeah, there is a point to where you have to stop watching politics. And I reached that point about 2 years ago, where I just got so monumentally into it. Because our current Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, is noxious. And I got so wrapped up with watching the news every day that I'd start to go mental. The happiest moment in my life was when I was almost killed by lightning 2 years ago. It knocked out the cable to my apartment, destroyed the cable box, the lines and everything. So I couldn't watch TV anymore. The news. Best fucking moment of my life. Well, apart from the almost dying part, but you take the good with the bad. So I didn't have to, I don't watch the news anymore. We're taking over Canada. Hey, fuck you, man. I'll fight you guys. Remember the War of 1812? We burned down the White House. Don't fuck with us. We may be polite, but we'll fight. We don't need a takeover by the United States. Honestly, all we need is a sustained burst of a conservative government, like 10 or 15 years. And holy shit, we could solve a lot of problems in this country. Start rolling back. Why is this all shaky? Oh, it's on my monitor now, so it's all shaky. But we could roll back a lot of this stuff that Trudeau has done. Even like a lot of the gun stuff, we could roll back because he did it through. What do we call it? In the United States, they call it executive orders. We have a term for it here too. And he basically did it through that, not through Parliament. Once you plug for politics, you quickly understand. Oh, yeah, exactly. But there's also an argument to be made that if you don't watch what's going on, shit slides downhill so fast that at some point, you don't know exactly, what happened and how it happened, right? I don't watch television for 2 or 3 years, and all of a sudden, men can have periods and women can have penises. Fuck, I don't know where this came from. All of a sudden, it just happened. I'm like, well, this is what I get for not watching the news. Apparently, something changed. There's something to be said for not disconnecting completely, though. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just sick and tired of politics. And I used to be a political animal. I was involved in politics from my 20s all the way through my early 30s. I was actually a member of the Liberal Party of Canada. Sorry, I was young. And I helped write federal legislation, which is still in force today. It was a youth program designed to get kids to volunteer more, which I know, again, remember I was young, but one of the proposals I made was military service as a volunteer. You get paid for it, but it's still military service. Everything got approved of my plan for a volunteer program, with the exception of that one. That one they nixed. They said, no, we're not going to do that. I'm like, okay, whatever. But anyway, I was young, and then I joined the Conservatives after that. Actually, while I was in university, I was a Conservative too. I used to write a column for the school paper, where I was the most hated person on campus. It was a Conservative column, so I was, like I said, quite a political animal when I was younger. These days, I'm far more interested in just going fishing or shooting guns. Much more interested. Trying to find my favorite powder so I can keep reloading. These are the things that preoccupy my time these days, not what politician X is doing to fuck the country up any further. Oh, yeah, you said you're in Oregon, Hobo Factory. Yeah. Oregon's one of those states I think I want to live in, but they seem more liberal than I think they would be for a Midwestern country state, or Western state, I guess, more accurate. Yeah. Oh no, Oregon's right below Washington State, though. So yeah, you got that Pacific Coast pinko-ness going on there. Yeah. Sorry to hear that, man. Depends on the part of the state. Well, and you know what? The same thing with Washington too, right? Seattle is like a liberal shithole, but then you get out to the country, and suddenly it's a lot more conservative. It's like Seattle's the tail that wags the dog there. They wouldn't have half the gun control they do in Washington State if it wasn't for Seattle. I would say move to Texas, but the summer heat would probably melt a Canadian. Well, Florida was hot enough when I was in there in June. It was like, holy mother. And that wasn't even the hot season. My sister and brother-in-law were telling me that in August it turns like insane. And it's mostly the humidity too that'll murder you. As a fat guy, I don't need more humidity. Yeah, away from Portland is pretty great. Yeah, that's what everyone tells me. Yeah, Seattle, Portland, get away from those two places and the rest of the state is fine. And you know what? The same thing with New York. For all the shit that everyone talks about New York, you get out of fucking New York City, and you go out to the western side of the state, or even the southern part of the state. It's a lot more conservative and gun friendly than Albany and New York City, Northern California too. Yeah, that's what I hear too. As soon as you get out of places like LA, Sacramento, and that stuff, it turns into a fairly conservative, decent place. I heard Orange County used to be like really conservative. I think it's less so now these days, from what I hear, but still, yeah, a lot of places are like that. Which is why I laugh when people talk about East Coast, or the coasts are these like super pinko areas, and it's only the heartland, flyover country. Most of the Pacific states, once you get out of those big cities, which have this like black hole effect of sucking in everything. My office in Portland got wrecked by rioters when Rittenhouse was acquitted. Oh man, that sucks. I got to meet Rittenhouse a few weeks ago. Our Saint Rittenhouse. Apparently he has a podcast on YouTube now. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, or he's going to, from what I hear. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry to hear that, Hobo Factory. That blows. Yeah. In the mostly peaceful protests, mostly peaceful. Is that what the CNN guys called it once? Seems like a good kid. Well, you know what? Whether he is or he isn't, he did what he had to do. He was being attacked by one guy. The other guy was armed. One of them was like a convicted pedophile. Fuck, he could have been Hitler for all I cared, man. He didn't do anything wrong in my books. Somebody attacks you, I'm sorry, man. We'll put a round in. I don't care. And the other guy had an illegal gun. So it's like, fuck these guys. Who cares? But anyway, yeah, from the interviews I've seen, he seems like a pretty good guy. So good for him. I'm happy that he wasn't convicted. Although apparently they destroyed the AR-15 that he used because it had a body on it or something. Whatever. I would have raffled that off if I was Rittenhouse. Probably would have made himself $1 million with that. Hopefully he can sue them, like that kid sued CNN after they called him a racist when that Aboriginal guy got into his face in that protest a couple years ago. Can't remember his name. Nick something, I think. See, I know a lot about American politics. I follow your politics quite a bit. I really I love the United States. Like I said, I'm one of those Canadians that loves the United States. I think it's a great country. Oh, you got censored again. Here, let me just fix that. March into town here, but didn't riot. I'm sure the snipers on the roofs had a little to do with that. Gotta love deep East Texas redneck law enforcement. That's awesome. They should have got some of those rooftop Koreans from LA too, just to seal the deal. But that's good. Yeah, well, that's good. I'm glad they didn't riot, though. I mean, I support their right to protest. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, BLM and all those other groups are communists or Antifa and all that stuff. I support their right to protest. Just don't fucking burn people's houses down and destroy businesses and that shit. So I'm glad that your town here, or a town near you, I guess, didn't have a riot, because that's bullshit. I don't get that. Why you got to be like that? We had some BLM protests in Canada too, actually, just because we're progressive. But they didn't do anything. Well, actually, let me correct that. We had a lot of statues get pulled down in Canada. Queen Victoria, Sir John A. Macdonald, who was our first Prime Minister of Canada, and some other people, maybe even Queen Elizabeth, I don't know. And apparently some churches were burned too, which our Prime Minister, much like your peaceful protest guy in the United States, Trudeau didn't declare that a terrorist act or anything like that. It was a regrettable move. March all you want, but don't cause damage or block traffic. I got a fucking Wrangler that's lifted with big tires. Fuck, you want to lie in front of me while I'm driving down a road? Knock yourself out. My tires fucking weigh more than you do. And if more than one of them hits you, more power to you. I ain't stopping. Fuck for anyone. Fuck that shit. I think we had some block traffic protests here too, but nothing extravagant. Yeah, fuck that shit. I'm getting much more militant as I get older when it comes to this stuff. No, I don't know. Of course, I talk a lot of shit now. I would have stopped the Jeep. You know how hard it is to clean blood out of some of those nooks and crannies on a Wrangler? Surprised I didn't just get kicked off YouTube for that. You were talking about killing people. Okay, well, I don't know. I think we chewed the gristle and the fat and all that stuff as much as possible. You're the only person watching right now, and I got to go and wash the dishes anyway. So I guess we're going to wrap this one up. Clover Tack. Thank you very much for. Well, thank you. I enjoyed it too. Maybe I'll do it more often. Nothing like extravagant. Just what I did here today. Just clean a rifle and chat with whoever shows up. Nobody shows up. That's great. I still had to clean the rifle. And also I got to talk to people I don't get to talk to. So that's kind of cool. I really appreciated that. Yeah, I'll probably do more of these. Like I said, I don't give a shit who shows up if nobody shows up. So all good. And it was definitely nice talking about American politics and guns and everything else. And maybe I'll move to Texas. Not Oregon, not California, but I will move to Texas. And the heat's not too much for me. I'll make do. I almost moved to Arizona once in 2008 when the housing market in the United States collapsed. And a friend of mine who's a prosecutor in Phoenix was telling me, you can buy a house for like $20,000. Fuck, the housing market's collapsed. I'm like, 20 grand. Fuck, even I can afford that. So I almost went. That she was a bit of a smoke show too. So we have these fancy things called air conditioners. We don't have air conditioners in Canada. We just build igloos in our house, and they slowly melt. But as they melt, they release like cold air. It's true. It's a funny story. Toronto is like the biggest city in Canada. It's also the capital of the province that I live in. So I was down there in the early 1990s for a convention, and I met this young girl who's still a friend, by the way, these days, 30 years later. She had never been to Northern Ontario. Um, so she was asking me, she was like, "Oh, what's it like up there?" I go, "Well, it's not that bad. It's a lot like Toronto. I mean, some people have houses, but most of us live in like igloos. Cars are pretty expensive and they don't run well in the winter, so we use like sleds and dogs and that stuff. Other than that, it's a lot like Toronto." And she's like looking at me like, "Really? You guys live in igloos up there? You have sled dogs and that stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's true, man. It's crazy, like but we make do and all that stuff." I let it go for about 40 minutes, and then I finally like admitted, "Look, it's like any other city in Canada. Fuck, we have air conditioning and houses and cars and that stuff." I felt bad about it, but lovely girl, she forgave me, and we're still friends today. Okay, well, I guess that's about it. We made it almost to an hour and a half, which is longer than I thought it was going to be. And once again, Clover Tack, thank you very much for being here. Hobo Factory, I don't know if you're still around, but it was very nice that you stopped in. American Patriot, you're long gone, but or you were, maybe, I don't know. Thanks for showing up. I don't know who else was here. I'm just scrolling through the chat. Seems like it was the Clover Tack and Redneck Preppy show today. We'll have to do co-streams in the future. Yeah, American Patriot. Yeah, Hobo Factory, Clover Tack. The only people who left. Oh, there's Hobo Factory. He's here. Oh, awesome. Yeah, Hobo Factory. Thank you very much for showing up, man. It was greatly appreciated. Like I said, this was just a fun stream. Clean my rifle, chat with whoever the hell showed up. And today, first time in my life, I got to talk to someone in Texas and Oregon simultaneously, and that's awesome. It was a hell of a geographic triangle that we had here. So that's super awesome. So thank you very much to both of you guys for showing up. Anybody who watches this afterwards, thanks for watching. You're going to be bored because it's me cleaning a gun, but whatever. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your weekends too, guys. I hope you get out there and do some shooting or some fishing or some jeeping or some reloading or whatever it is that you do. I hope you have yourselves a great day. Take care. And bye-bye. How do I turn this off? I'm a boomer. Oh, here we are.